What about this one then? Well, Charlton's owner has agreed to sell the club to the US bankrolled SE7 Partners consortium, and that's fronted by the former Sunderland director, Charlton Athletic. Now, joining us now is Heather McKilney, I should say, from the Charlton Athletic Supporters Trust. Good afternoon to you, Heather. So what's your initial reaction then?
Afternoon, Vicky. I think we've been calling for Sangard to sell the club for several months now. He came in with lots of promises, but unfortunately he was unable to deliver on that. So we're pleased that there is now some resolution. We believe it will now take an amount of time to go through EFL approvals. That's quite a rigorous and lengthy process now. So for the time being, Thomas Sangard remains the owner of the club until that completes. We are in a process really of doing our own scrutiny and due diligence on the potential new owners. We have had some contact with Jim Rodwell, who's a former football chief executive and very experienced in the English game. And we understand he would lead the consortium on a day-to-day basis in terms of running the club. Obviously, we have had comments from supporters at other clubs where Charlie Methven has previously been involved. He's a bit of a larger-than-life character, as people have seen on the Netflix documentary. So we do have some concerns there. We've not had any direct engagement formally with him as the Supporters Trust yet, and our understanding is that he will have more of a backseat role on the whole board, being involved in the day-to-day management of the club. So I think we've got to face the next few weeks of waiting for things to become much clearer. And in that time, as the Supporters Trust, we will do our own due diligence and scrutinise who the new owners are going to be and what their intentions are. And ultimately, we will judge them on what they actually do at the football club rather than what they say they're going to do.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Heather. And you're right to be cautious. Am I right in saying this would be the fourth set of owners in the space of 4 years? It's not gone quite to plan, has it, with any owner that's come in?
No, I mean, Sangard, I think, had decent intentions as a football club owner, but he just wasn't really prepared to put in experienced people to run the club. But prior to that, Sangard did save us from basically a group of chancellors who did not have proper backing behind them, who did not have the best interests of the club at heart by any means. So we called at that time for the EFL to scrutinise owners and to have a more rigorous test so that people couldn't just walk into a football club having paid £1. So we're now in a position where the EFL have tightened those regulations. And that's why this process will now take several weeks. So we just have to bear with that and wait for the resolution of that. It's obviously a really important time for the football club, obviously with preparation for next season, with signings, with re-signing existing players, hopefully signing some good new players to strengthen the squad so that we can compete at the top half of League One, or the top end of League One, because we've not been doing that in recent years. So it's a strange situation because that obviously will have to be done still under the ownership of Thomas Sangard, but hopefully with the input and agreement from the potential new owners, but in a very constructive and agreed way.
Heather, can you bring me up to speed with what's the situation in terms of Roland Duchâtelet? Because my understanding is he still owns the stadium and the club. Is that right? Can you understand how this is all going to work together?
Yeah, Duchâtelet owns the valley and the training ground, but the football club is under separate ownership. And that came about when ESI took over the club. It was, the group that I would call, a bunch of chancellors, basically. And unfortunately, they promised Roland that they would pay £50 million for those assets on the Never Never. So Duchâtelet believes that is the value of those assets, and he's holding out for that amount. So we don't know the exact arrangements with the new potential consortium. Our understanding is that they're only buying the football club, but they will continue to lease those assets from Duchâtelet, and that lease runs until 2035, which may seem quite a while away, but actually in football club history, it's not very long at all. So
It seems like a long time, doesn't it? You mentioned 2035. It has got into, dare I say, a bit of a pickle. You did mention the fact that we were able to see Charlie Meth then as the director at Sunderland, and he's part of that Netflix series, wasn't he? Do you think that he'll have learned from that experience somewhat?
I mean, I would hope so, because I think there he was, say, a larger than life character, and he was quite domineering. And I think in the end, what football clubs really need is proper consultation with fans, recognition of the history of the club, and also the emotional investment that supporters put into the club. It means so much more. It's not just a commercial asset. It's so important in the community. It's important for families. People have their ashes scattered at the corner of the valley, the memorial garden, and that's a totally different relationship from a commercial entity. And I think we're always concerned as fans when new owners are coming in, and you wonder, well, what is their ultimate motivation? Is it to make a success of the football club, or is it to somehow or other try and make money out of it? So, time will tell on that one.
It certainly will. 5 managers in the space of 2 years. Look, if you could send out a message, and you can right here, here's your platform. If you wanted to send out a message to the new owners, what would be the 3 things that are absolutely vital for them to get it right in order for you to go on and get some success?
I mean, in the very short term, keep Dean Holden and give him proper backing. So I think he's shown that he really gets the club, and has turned things around really well in the time that he's been in charge. Don't sell Miles Leaburn. We've got a great prospect there. Let's hang on to him for at least another season if we possibly can. Strengthen the relationship between the club and the fans, because it's become. It has become too fractured, and Charlton supporters have a long history of campaigning for their club and being very active. And we can be an asset to the football club if everyone pulls in the same direction and we all work together.
Good luck with it all. Heather McKinley, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks so much, Vicky.